Hi everyone, it's Stephanie from Lumeria Star, and today I thought it would be fun to maybe start a new video series. So basically what I wanted to do, for those of you who may or may not follow me on Instagram, what I've done for the past couple years is I created a hashtag Lumeria Star Tarot Edit. And basically what that is just the decks I've edited down and the group of decks I'm using for that particular month. And the reason I actually started that was because I do have such a variety of decks. I wanted to make sure that every month I was kind of rotating through them. So that's originally why I started the hashtag. And then on Instagram, I encouraged others to use the hashtag just to show off the decks they're using for the month. So that's been really fun. And I want to say I've been doing that for 3 or 4 years now, every single month. So if you ever want to join, hop on over to Instagram, follow me at Lumeria Star, and it's basically just a monthly challenge just to show the decks that you're using. So with that being said, I thought it'd be fun on YouTube to, at the end of the month, kind of just discuss and review the decks I worked with and what maybe surprised me, what didn't, things like that. So let's just give this a go and see what happens. So I'm reviewing the decks that I worked with for February. And if you are curious of what the decks I'm using, I will, I'll list them below in the, the description box. So for February, I kind of was trying to go with decks that were, you know, maybe around love. It's Valentine's, Day month. And yeah, I just kind of gravitated towards my pink decks, my decks with flowers and roses, and maybe felt a little bit more feminine. So the one deck I picked for my monthly tarot edit was the Lioness Oracle Tarot. And I've been very vocal on how I'm not really connecting with this deck, and I keep trying. So the box is just beautiful. It's that beautiful soft touch finish. The quality is awesome, and as a Leo, I originally got this deck. My mom gave it to me as a gift for my birthday a few years ago. These are the gorgeous backs. It is that beautiful kind of matte gold finish, and this deck is awesome and I love it. Again, I'm not sure why I'm not fully connecting with it, but I'm not ready to give up on it, I've decided. So I used it a few times this month. I've used it over on my Patreon, doing some readings and messages as well. So, I love the premise of this deck. I love the idea of this deck. It's very Leo energy, big cat energy, and spacey and galactic. I love this David Bowie star card, absolutely love that. I love that it's old school collage, paper, scissors, glue sticks. This is the kind of collage work I did a lot when I was younger. I really loved collaging. I don't consider myself an artist by any means, but I've always been creative. And I enjoy art, and I think I have artistic tendencies, but I don't see myself as an artist per se. But growing up, I was really into photography, and a lot of the art medium I enjoyed was collage work. I was always making collages. So I enjoy that about this deck. I feel like that taps into something for me. And as I'm kind of saying that out loud, I'm wondering if this deck might serve better as inner child, inner teenage work, just because this is a medium that I really resonated with when I was younger. So that's just maybe something I'm going to try, because I still feel like I am struggling to fully connect with it when I so deeply want to connect with it. So yeah, maybe that's an idea. I know people do have certain decks for certain things. I was watching Dawn Michelle on her channel, Boho Tarot, and I saw that she got this deck recently because she realized she had a lot of Leo placements in her chart, and she loved it. She deep dove with this deck, and I guess she was using it for creative work, which makes sense. So I'm wondering if maybe for me, I could use this deck for more creative work, or maybe for like that like inner child, inner teenager work, perhaps. So yeah, I'm just kind of thinking out loud there, but I'm not ready to give up on this deck. But I did notice this month, even though it was in my tarot edit, I didn't use it that much. So that's just something notable, something to note. So this is the Lioness Oracle, and basically my my thoughts and feelings on this deck after a month of working with it for February's tarot edit. Not giving up on it yet, but I might have to shift how I'm working with it. So perhaps it's just altar cards, perhaps it's creative work, perhaps it's like inner teenager work. I haven't found the niche for it yet, but something in my gut is telling me do not give this deck away. So that is my final thoughts on this deck. So let's move that over to the side. So another deck that I worked with this month for my tarot edit is the She-Wolf Tarot. And I also did a side-by-side walkthrough of this deck and the most recent 4th edition, which the creator, Devaney Wolf, she reimagined some of the cards with more like diversity, more so like either like race or skin tone, and also like body diversity. And I did a walkthrough, you can see that on my channel as well. And I realized that there wasn't enough changes in the deck for me to either keep both or just keep the new deck. And I am already bonded. This is the very first edition that ever came out. This was like the second deck I ever owned. I was just so drawn to this artwork. So essentially, long story short, I did decide to rehome the new 4th edition deck. So that is currently on its way to its new home. So I just realized this month that I do really love this original version. I do feel like the one reason I wanted to try the new version was I wanted the updated Emperor card. Let me see if I can find it. The updated Emperor card in the 2nd and 3rd edition is titled The Divine Masculine, and it's David Bowie, and I love David Bowie. So I really wanted that, and then for some reason, the creator, Devaney Wolf, on the 4th edition, the newest one, changed it back to the original artwork, so I was a little bummed about that, and that was another big reason why I decided not to keep it. So this is the original 1st edition artwork. It's named the Emperor, and it's got these like 2 male figures here. And the 2nd and 3rd edition, it's named Divine Masculine, which I think is really great because they use Divine Feminine as the Empress in here. So I liked that balance. And again, I love David Bowie, so I really wanted that. And then with the 4th edition, she did update some cards, which I really enjoyed, but I just felt like it wasn't enough. And she went back to this artwork, but did rename it Divine Masculine. So I was a little bummed about that. And ultimately I decided to let that one go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue holding on to my 1st edition deck, which I really do love a lot. I'm really bonded to it. And I think as I grow in my own tarot practice, I'm growing with this deck as well. It's kind of deepening. When I originally got this in my journey, I was so new to tarot. This deck felt very advanced. It felt very esoteric. It felt like, yeah, it was kind of like, this is not a beginner deck, is what I want to say. So I knew deep down, as soon as I saw the artwork, I had to have it, and I knew it would be important for me, and it just took a matter of time. So I will be keeping this deck. If the 2nd or 3rd edition ever happens to make its way to me in a trade or something like that, I might think of rehoming this one, but I do think this one is, it's here to stay, and I haven't picked this one up in a while, so this was a real joy to work with for my February tarot edit. So we'll move on from that deck. The next deck I wanted to talk about, which was in my edit, was the Moon Baby Tarot. So this deck just continues to absolutely delight me. This was a Kickstarter deck. And it is a deck reimagined of the Hoi Polloi, which I also have and I adore. It's edged in a light pink. I'm not sure if you can see that on camera. And this is exactly what it is. So it's a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but it's the Hoi Polloi version reimagined. I love everything about this deck. The bright, funky colors. I love the font style. I just love how like 70s this is. And I've just realized I'm always attracted to a very 70s or like retro aesthetic. So this was really fun to work with for February, and I'm so bonded with this deck, and it's such a clear reader, obviously, because it's Rider-Waite-Smith. This is a deck that I will continue to use all year round. Because I have so many decks, a lot of them only get like 1 month a year to come out, but I've noticed that since I've had the Moon Baby Tarot, it does come out quite a bit. And like, look at this, my 10 of Cups cards. I love that. I love the retro looking rainbow. So yeah, this is always a delight to work with. I just love it so much. So this just continued to grow my love for this deck this month. And this is not going anywhere. And this, I'm sure this will be out sooner rather than later, because this deck can't only be used once a month or once 1 month of the year and then be put away. So this will be coming out soon, I'm sure, because I'm in love with this deck. Okay, so let's keep doing tarot. Let's move to this deck I have in this little pouch because it comes with a book that's bigger than the box, the tuck box. So this is the Self-Love Tarot, and I was actually really surprised. I was not drawn to use this all month, and you know, for Love Month, I thought Self-Love Tarot would be perfect, and I didn't reach for it. I think I used it maybe twice. I used it for a reading on my Patreon, and I think maybe for myself like once, and I don't know why. Like, I love the artwork and I love the size. I love how it's standard tarot size. I am thinking maybe because it's glossy, and glossy cards tend to, like you can see it there, tend to not photograph well, and I do typically photograph my readings both on like social media for Instagram and also my personal readings, because I'm a very visual person, so that's how I remember my card pulls, and then I write them down in my tarot journal. So I noticed like I didn't love the glossiness. So I'm not giving this deck away by any means, but I did notice that the glossiness does prevent me from wanting to use it, which is such a shame. And I know that sounds silly. That sounds like a silly reason to not use a deck. But if this deck, let's say, were to be reprinted in another, like, you know, printing version, and it was matte, but still kept the little gold foil details, I'd be all over it. So I would rehome this one and then get the matte version. But because, like, look, these cards are stunning. And I think it just doesn't photograph well. So I don't know, like, I want to use it, but I didn't reach for it this month. So that's just something to note. Look at the devil card. I love that. Sassy devil. Yeah, it's just something to note. I didn't reach for it, and not giving this away at all, but it's just something for me to be mindful of. If I continue to not reach for it, you know, I'd have to figure out what I'm doing with this deck. The book is great. It is slightly annoying that it's bigger than the deck, so I do keep it in this pouch. But when I keep it with the pouch and the box, it kind of like slightly bows a little bit. Again, I'm being picky, but yeah, it's a deck that I had all intentions of working with for Love Month, and I reached for it maybe twice. So just something for me to be mindful of, because I am really going through a pretty big deck declutter. I just want to be really intentional with what I have and make sure I'm using everything. So that is that. So let's now move to another tarot. Another deck I used this month for February is the Sluttis Tarot. Let me take a sip of my tea. So this deck continues to be a delight. These are the really pretty pink backs. I did edge this in like a matte black, so that's why it looks like that. It just came with like white. This deck continues to be a really strong reader. I love how it appears to be really sassy and in your face, but with the companion guidebook, which is a PDF, and I just have it saved on my phone, the readings are super healing and they're super nurturing and full of like self-love and self-care. So I just love how it can go both ways. It can kind of be a slap in the face, like at least with the visuals, but when you really use the PDF guidebook, it just hits the spot. It tells you exactly what you need to hear. It's very nurturing, very loving, and these girls are just so sassy, and I love them. Like, who doesn't love these sluts? I do. They're great. So this deck is so much fun. I always pull this out for February. It just seems like such a February deck. It's like just girls, girls just being girls, women being women. A lot of like friendships in here. Women expressing, you know, their full sexuality, their full power. There's trans folks in this deck, which I think is awesome. A couple of them are renamed. So the magician is the witch. Who doesn't love that? This is like totally Madonna, right? Yeah, it's a great deck, and it's not for everyone. So this is a deck that I don't just like whip out for like client readings unless someone specifically asked for it. But, and look, the Empress, which is my favorite card, is reimagined as the whore. Like, how perfect. How perfect. Yeah, so this is a favorite. This deck will probably most likely never leave my collection. It's a great reader, and yeah, I'm so happy I have this. I used this quite a bit for February, and she is just a joy to work with. So that is the Slutist Tarot. I continue to be very happy with her. All right, so another deck I have for February is the Rainbow Heart Tarot, which obviously is just like the box looks. It's got a beautiful rainbow and a beautiful heart. So this felt very Valentine's-esque. And I was surprised I didn't reach for this one too much either. These are the beautiful backs. This wasn't originally edged. This was plain, and then I edged it with like a bubblegum pink marker, which is kind of faded over time, but I still really love it. I think this is the first edition. I believe the second edition, or the most current edition right now, has holographic edges, but I actually really like this much better. So this artwork is really cool. It again gives me that like really 70s kind of retro vibe. There are people of color, which is great. So we have a bit of diversity. The colors are just bright and colorful. And yeah, it's retro, it's joyful, it's pretty Rider-Waite-Smith based. So I do feel like it's a pretty easy reader. This deck, because of all the hearts and bright colors, feels perfect for February. I love this Ace of Pentacles with the pomegranate. This star card is absolutely stunning. I also really like this death card. I didn't reach for this too much though this month, and I don't know why. Again, I'm learning tarot that are larger sizes, so this is pretty much like an oracle size. I do tend to reach for less, and I'm just kind of really being mindful and noticing that. Not giving this deck away by any means, but I just am kind of making mental notes of my own personal practice. So I notice when I have a bigger deck, I do tend to reach for it less. So that's just something to be mindful of for me in the future. Really love this Nine of Wands card. I did use this at a Galentine's Day event in the month of February. So that was really fun, and clients really enjoyed this deck a lot. So that alone, kind of, I feel like it got its bang for its buck this month, because it was definitely a working deck this month. Clients were choosing it, and I used it all night at my Galentine's event. This is one of my favorite moon cards ever. Like, how gorgeous is that? So yeah, I didn't use this a lot personally, but clients loved it this month. So this deck continues to not go anywhere, but yeah, I'm just happy. I'm happy it's here. I'm happy I got to use this for February, and this one will be probably going back in storage for a bit. Maybe I'll reach for it in the summer because the bright colors are still pretty nice and vibrant. So that is the Rainbow Heart Tarot. All right, let's organize myself here. All right, so another deck I had for my February edit was the Trionfi della Luna by Patrick Valenza of Deviant Moon, and this is the Paradoxical Rose edition. So of course the colors made me want to use it this month. And this one too, I only used a few times. This deck isn't going to go anywhere, but it's just something for me to be mindful of. It does come with extra cards. So this is an alternate tower card. And then it does come with some oracle cards, which were cool. I was kind of playing around with these a bit, and I do have the PDF of these saved on my phone as well. So that was kind of fun to play with, and I love the colors of this deck. So I think with this one, just a reason in general why I don't reach for it too much is I still haven't like fully embraced the Marseille reading style yet. So I'll play around with it, but it's just not something I'm always super excited for, despite how this deck is just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. I love the rose, the pinks, this like aqua teal-ish color. But, you know, traditional Marseille doesn't get me super excited, but this is absolutely gorgeous. So this deck won't be going anywhere. I think when I'm ready to fully embrace Marseille, this will probably be like an absolute go-to for me. But I am really happy I have it in my collection, and this deck won't be going anywhere. But it just was one I didn't pull for too much this month. But I do really love just even flipping through this artwork. It's just so stunning. Right? Yeah, I just love it. And I did see Patrick Valenza is, I think, creating or has already created and soon to be releasing a fully illustrated Trionfi della Luna, which will be pretty cool. I doubt he's going to be doing, well, I shouldn't say I doubt. As of right now, he's just releasing just like the traditional colors of the Trionfi. Perhaps if it's really popular, he'll recreate them in the paradoxical, like inverted colors. That would be really cool, but I am really interested to see what this deck would look like with fully illustrated minors, because it's the fully illustrated cards that I can really sink into, as opposed to a, you know, Marseille style. It doesn't give my intuition enough to like really dig into. So I think that's my issue with Marseille in general, but I love this deck. So this one isn't going anywhere. So that's the Trionfi della Luna Paradoxical Rose. So it didn't get too much play this month, but I'm so happy I have it. This one's not going to go anywhere. I do feel like our journey and work together really hasn't even started yet. So we're not ready. All right, so the next deck I worked with this month, which is an oracle deck, is the Vessel Oracle. And with the heart and the pink, you can see why I love using this deck for February and for Love Month. This is probably one of my favorite boxes. Like, number one, it is magnetic closure, but everything about this is just so pretty with the pink and the hearts and the details. This is a great deck as an an oracle deck as a clarifier. I did edge these in a metallic pink. And this is kind of like that like squiggly art type style of like illustration. So it's very simple, very imperfect, which I enjoy. And it also doesn't shy away from tougher cards. So we have grief, boundaries. It gets better. And I think this is a great deck to use just with tarot. I don't think there's necessarily enough for me to use this as a standalone oracle for like how I use oracle as standalone, like as a journaling practice. But this deck has always been amazing paired with tarot. Like we've got a defeat card, fear. So it is nice and balanced for sure. And just with the theme of vessel, like the heart being a vessel, it can also be very healing, as I was just gonna say. I really love this deck. Release, and you can see there's like releasing like just toxic things in our life. Love, communication, anxiety, and connect. So this deck is great. It's one of my favorite oracles. It's just such a joy to bring out. This is definitely a February deck for me, but I do use it all year. So that is the Vessel Oracle. Really happy about that. And lastly, I want to share, so this is the Moon Void Tarot. This is the new 3rd edition that's like pink, black and white. And this is the Moon Witch Oracle, which I didn't even list as a deck in my tarot edit. However, this was actually in my January tarot edit, but I felt really called to use it, even though I didn't technically put it in my monthly tarot edit. And these two decks together, I am just obsessed with, and I'm going to show you. So how I was using this deck, and look how pretty these backs are. So how I was using this deck is I was using the Moon Witch Oracle as kind of just like my anchor point. And then I would pull 2 cards from the Moon Void to really just round out the reading and provide further clarity. And I think they just look gorgeous together. The messages have been spot on. And I feel like I was actually not struggling with the new Moon Void, but because I love the original Moon Void so much, this deck, I was kind of like, yeah, I love it, but like I love my regular Moon Void more. And now, because I feel like it found its place with the Moon Witch, just like the aesthetics, the vibe, they really, at least for me, I found that they communicate so well together. Like the messages I've been getting have been crazy. So I just love these decks together. And I feel like this is like my new favorite pairing that I'm going to be whipping out all the time, like year round. So I was really excited to discover this relationship, because that's what it is. When I play with multiple decks, yes, I'm looking for pretty aesthetics that look nice together, but aside from that, what I really need is for cards and different decks to have conversations with each other. And when the conversation really comes through really strong and the messages are really clear, that's how I know I have a really great deck pairing. So this one for me has just been so spot on. So spot on. And whenever I pull for this, it literally just gives me the message that I needed to hear that day. And this artwork is just so pretty together. I could just keep flipping through. I'll do one more. And I also really love the guidebook for the Moon Witch Oracle. It gives just enough information, and there's also like a ritual for each one, which I think is really awesome. So it's like something you could do to really kind of like harness that card. And then I'll be honest, I did back the Moon Void Tarot on Kickstarter, and it comes with this gorgeous book, but I'll be honest, I really didn't read it because I'm like, oh, I know these cards. I don't, you know, it's great to have this book. I didn't read it. I set it aside. For some reason, this month, working with these two decks, I felt the call to be like, let me just check out the book. And when I tell you, Stephanie Capone's write-ups in this book were literally speaking to my soul. It was like exactly what I needed to hear. And now I'm obsessed with this book. And I'll be honest, like the write-ups aren't that big, but she has a way of describing the cards that like totally make sense, and even ways that like I wasn't seeing the cards, which I love because it's almost like when you get to use a guidebook that you connect with, it's almost as if someone else is doing the reading for you, like you're getting a reading from someone else. So I really relied on this guidebook a lot, and it was fantastic. So I actually need to reach out to Stephanie and tell her how much I love her guidebook, because I also have her guided tarot book, which is kind of just like a regular reference book. But this one, oh my gosh, I love it so much. So I've finally connected with this deck, and dare I say, this might be above my original Moon Void now. So that was a big discovery this month. So with that being said, that was kind of just like a look back and review of all the decks I worked with for my Lumeria Star Tarot edit for February. I'd love to know what you guys think. Especially for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I use, you know, these decks all month. Like, what were your thoughts? Do you also have some of these decks? Love them, don't love them? Yeah, I feel like I got really great insight on decks that like I just continue to love. I got some insight on decks that maybe I'm still not connecting with, and that's okay. I also got some insight on decks that I'm obsessed with now, and then also decks that like might need to be reimagined into, you know, possibly working with it in a different way. So anyway, these were my February decks from my Lumeria Star Tarot edit over on Instagram. I'd love to know what you thought of this video. Feel free to leave your comments down below, give it a like, and if you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me over on Instagram at Lumeria Star. I also have a Patreon where I share weekly custom tarot spreads, journal prompts, weekly tarot lessons, and just like a variety of other fun things. I also do giveaways that I'm exclusively doing on Patreon now, no longer on any other social media sites. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everyone.